Hey, it's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this is our first look at Sony's brand new Xperia, the Xperia XZ. Now, that might be a bit of a mouthful to say, especially when you consider that there's a lot of Xperia phones that came out this year, and the other one is the Xperia Compact, the Xperia X Compact rather, that you have a full video from Lon, so you can take a look at that if you want more about the smaller version that is plastic and not water resistant. But until we get to that part, we're taking a look at the more premium XZ. Essentially what you have here is a design that is somewhat different from what we are already used to from the Xperia line, even with the previous phones that came out at Mobile World Congress. What we see here is an exoskeleton that has a bunch of the panels on all of the different sides of the phone, and you can see very closely here that there are panels. It's not a unibody design, and it also strays away from the dual glass panels that we remember from back when we had the Xperia Z2, Z3 and whatnot. That said, the phone does feel quite good in the hand, and it's pretty accessible with a 5.2-inch screen, but it is a full HD display. You're not getting 2K or even the 4K from the performance model that we had a number of months back. That said, however, the screen looks pretty nice, and it does a good job of showing this Xperia UI that is actually a little bit more stock than we remember. There's even Google Now over as the second home screen, and when you swipe all the way to the left. But that said, it still has the look of a general stock Android, which Xperia UI tended to have in the past, but we do like its more sleek look, and it also feels pretty snappy with the Snapdragon 820 as the processor on here anyway. As far as the other internals go, you will get 32 gigabytes of onboard storage if you get the single SIM edition, or if you get the dual SIM edition of this phone, you'll get 64 gigabytes of onboard storage with micro SD card expansion always available. From there, you have 3 gigabytes of RAM, which might sound a little bit odd in the world of 4 gigabytes and sometimes more, but so far the phone seems to be performing just fine. And the battery comes in at 2900 milliamp hours, but is capable of fast charging using Sony's own chargers that are included with the phone. And of course, this phone is IP certified for water and dust resistance, the same that you would get in pretty much any Xperia phone, even though this time around the Compact Edition does not have this certification. And like I said already, you can take a look at that video over from Lon here at Android Authority. Now, the camera package is probably the most important part about this phone because Sony is always trying to push the boundaries, especially considering that they are one of the biggest manufacturers of camera sensors for smartphones. It's great to see that the Xperia line is always going to be rocking them. And as far as the specs go, the 23 megapixel camera on the rear is also backed by triple sensing technology for focusing. It's basically a hybrid autofocus that uses phase detection, laser, and color contrast autofocus in order to improve some of the low light performance. But the camera is also one of the first ones to come with 5-axis stabilization. Now, if you are familiar with any of Sony's bigger mirrorless cameras like the A7 line, then you'll know what to expect with this. It's just on a much smaller scale. Now, with that stabilization, there should be better low light performance and even better video performance because it is optical and not digital, meaning that even if you're jittering around with the camera, it should mean that there's more stabilization here than with any other smartphone. Now, I did do a rather rudimentary test of this and just recorded the video that I recorded with the Xperia XZ, and so far it looks like it does a pretty good job, but of course we're going to have to put this camera properly through its paces with our full testing after we get a full review unit. The front-facing camera also gets a huge adjustment to 13 megapixels, and it's using one of the Exmor RS sensors, which means that its picture quality should be pretty awesome, especially if the processing is where it should be. And again, that's going to be something that we have to test when we get our review unit. Especially considering that the design has been changed even ever so slightly enough to make it feel a little more fresh, the streamlining across the board with that big camera enhancement makes this phone still pretty exciting to us. And as far as the Xperia line goes, we do think that it's been in need of a bit of a refresh. And if this is the one that's going to give us some excitement about Sony's smartphone line, then we can't wait to get our hands on our review unit and bring you our main thoughts in a full review. So keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more about the Sony Xperia XZ. Don't forget to check out the X Compact from Lon in another video here at Android Authority, and remember to keep it tuned here because we are your source for all things IFA 2016.